What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Stereotherapy. I'm your host, Lisa, and this is episode 111. Today on the show, I was joined by Josh, Adam, and Nick of Good Vibe Entertainment. This was such a great opportunity to not only catch up with Josh, who reached out and wanted to come back on our podcast, which I will always say is the biggest compliment to have anybody get in our messages, email, any of that, and say they want to come back. So it was really cool to see this other side of Josh and Good Vibe and get to meet Adam and Nick this time. So it was really, really cool to get that opportunity to kind of tap into a part of an industry that is so important when we talk about shows, people that book shows. And I think things like Good Vibe Entertainment are what helps these tours and shows go on. So it was really great to kind of pick their brains in why they started this, any struggles for anybody else, and also where to reach them if you're on the East Coast specifically in the area, because I think I would love to send more people their way. But we also touched on something that Nick brought up of that post-tour depression that happens. And it's a real thing that so many musicians face. So I was really glad that he brought that up because that was not in some of our previous conversations. And it's funny because after this conversation, I had other people bring it up. So it just goes to show what a bigger conversation needs to happen and support for musicians and artists. But this was such a fun one, and I'm so excited to bring this conversation to you guys. All links below to check out Good Vibe, where to find them, as well as their musical projects. So let's just get into it. Here's my conversation with Josh, Adam, and Nick of Good Vibe Entertainment.
So my first recollection of falling in love with music, I guess two, memories really stick out to me. One being when I was very, very young. My grandfather, who has, let me preface, zero musical talent, for some reason, really wanted to teach me how to play piano. I guess he just saw that I liked music in me. And man, he got a CD-ROM that we would put into the computer, and we would spend really the whole summer just learning how to play piano together. And that really it really got me in love with, creating music and playing music and reading music. Eventually, I got into the drums, but, starting with the piano and starting that with my grandfather, and that's really when I started the love for music. And then really just my parents taking me to shows, specifically taking me to see my older brother play, his band playing, and just being so young and being like, wow, this is the coolest thing ever. And it's just my brother playing in front of 10 of his friends at the, fire hall down the street. But, those memories, really, really stick out, when I think of falling in love with music.
I give you a lot of credit for piano. I've tried. I used to nanny, and the girls, we'd go to their classes and they'd have to teach me. I'm like, I could barely play. I forget whatever little song they were doing. I wish I had a musical bone. I don't. I love music. I cannot play any instrument. I mean, unless you count Rock Band or something like that, but that doesn't count. But
You
so
got more skills than me. Rock Band, I can't do it. I can't do Guitar Hero or Rock Band. I'm on
really,
E. I'm still messing up. It's bad.
I mean, I didn't say I was good at it, but I could do it. So I had some band on here. I think Bush League. They were big Guitar Hero, Rock Band guys, and I guess one of them, I forget who. Gosh, they're gonna probably kill me. But somebody in the band has some title at Yestercades here in New Jersey. They're like, yeah, we have
Okay.
the title. I'm like, all right, well then I'm not playing you. But what about you, Nick? What are any first memories for you?
So I started playing the upright bass when I was in the orchestra in fourth grade. I remember the year before that in third grade at the end of the year, every third grader had to try an instrument because fourth grade was the year that you start band or orchestra or whatever you pick. And so they made everyone do it, and they were going my class in alphabetical order by last name, and I had no idea. I didn't even want to play an instrument. I didn't really care. So I was like, what am I going to pick? Because these kids are picking violin, trombone, this and that, trumpet. And I had no idea what I was going to pick. And so it got to the kid who was in front of me, and that kid said bass. And so they asked me, I was like, Nick, what do you want to play? I was like, well, the kid in front of me said bass, so I'm going to say bass. I said bass, and I've been playing bass to this day. So for me, yeah, I guess it would have started in school. Fourth grade. I was 10 years old.
Do you have a picture of did you have to stand on a box for the upright bass?
No, actually, because I wasn't big enough yet, they actually had a cello that they tuned differently, so it was like a bass.
Okay,
So
so
that was big enough for me. I could get my hands around it, and then by fifth grade, I played like a regular, like the smallest double bass that they had, which is like a half size, and even like that was a huge step up. Like I had to stretch my hand a lot further, and like the strings were so much thicker, like they hurt my fingers so bad, like when I would press it down, and like yeah, that was like fifth grade and sixth grade were some rough years for me. But I had a really great orchestra teacher. Her name was Erin Hutter. God rest her soul. She passed away a couple years back, but awesome. Like she was the one who really like pushed me to keep playing bass, even though I wanted to quit so many times. I was like, this is stupid. You know, like none of my friends
Mhm.
are in orchestra. Like, I don't know. I wanted to play hockey. I wanted to play baseball. Like I really wasn't into it. But then she was just like, ah, give it one more and give it till the next concert and give it to the, it kept going to that. And then I eventually like got the hang of it after a while playing the upright bass. And once I did that, my dad was a huge music fan too. Like he never played music or anything, but he had a big I would say record collection now, but back then it was CDs. CDs were the coolest thing. My dad had a shit ton of CDs. So as soon as I was old enough to like know how to operate a CD player on my own, I could plug headphones into it. And so I go to my dad's CD collection and just like go through the album artwork, like which is cool, what's cool.
Mhm.
And the one he had that really changed my life, I would say, was AC/DC Highway to Hell,
Yep.
1979, which is still my favorite record to this day of any band. Because that's the one that really made me want to play music. And up to this point, I had been going like, my mom was really into church. She was really religious. So, I was really into church. I was really religious. And then I heard, I'm on the highway to hell, and about like being
Mhm.
misbehaved and like rock and roll is the devil's music, and I was just like, this right here, this is my shit right here. I don't belong anywhere else. So it was then. And then sixth grade came on. I think there was a TV channel called VH1 Classic. I don't know if it's still on. Yeah, it might be still on, but they played The Song Remains the Same by Led Zeppelin, which is their live performance at Madison Square Garden. And the song Dazed and Confused, I specifically remember in that part of the show, they started playing Dazed and Confused. And if you don't know the song, it starts off with a very like slow walking bass line. It's like a very like, and then it comes in really, really big. But it's like five really easy notes that like all went in and around. So in the living room watching this with my dad, I turned my upright bass to the side and I started like figuring out what the notes were, and I started to play along with that. And my dad's just like, "Listen, your 13th birthday is coming up. I want to buy you a bass guitar, but I'm not going to buy it for you unless you promise that you're going to commit to it. Like you're not going to pick it
Mhm.
up for a couple of weeks and then, be it like a one time. Like, you have to commit to this." I was just like, "All right, I'll commit to it." And he bought me that bass, and I've been committed ever since. So yeah,
Oh,
this well, elementary school, I would say, is where I really got my start.
Gotta start them young. I love that.
yeah.
Yeah,
No,
that was
and
really long-winded. I'm sorry, but
no, but that's all, and like that's yeah, because I was that kid that my parents, I want to play guitar, I want to play it, I want to do it. I maybe did it, maybe if I'm being generous, like 2, 3 months. I was like, this is too hard. I can't do this. I mean, to be fair, I didn't have lessons, so I didn't have anything to help me out with that. But I was that kid that, all right, let's do this, and then it sat in my closet until I finally like gave it to my friend that was like, "Oh, I can use this. I want this." And I'm kicking myself because I wish I didn't give up on it. I mean, there's always still time. I can still pick it up, but back then I wish I would have just stuck with it and not been like, "This is too difficult." And I was that kid looking at like tabs online. Oh, let me play Green Day. Let me play this. This is supposed to be easy. No, I had no business doing that. Or like Dashboard Confessional was a big one. These tabs are easy. Okay, let me see. And I didn't even know how to tune a guitar, so I was like not setting myself up for that. So that's good that you had someone, not like just basically that you had to commit because it made you want to commit and like keep with it. Where
yeah.
yeah, I was that kid that guitar has dust. But I mean I was gifted one for Christmas this year, so I guess I should.
We're
Yeah,
still
it's never
not.
too late. I tell
Yeah.
adults that all the time. Like I have a bunch of adults who come with me, "Oh, I wish I could play music and this and that. Oh, I'm too old." I
Mhm.
was like, there's always an excuse for why you can't do it. I mean, like I have excuses for why I can't even do it.
Yeah.
And I do it all the time. Anyway, so
Mhm.
it's like,
No, for
how
sure.
bad do you want to do it is the question that you have to ask. Like, do I want to sit here and learn how to chunk out G chord, the D chord, all my basic, guitar chords, and now, I have to figure out how to do that. And once you get that all through, then you're like, oh, I want a nicer guitar, or my guitar
Mhm.
needs new strings, or oh, I want
Yeah.
to get an electric guitar now. So now I got to buy an amp and cables, and oh, this pedal sounds really cool. And then you get one pedal, two pedal, three pedals, and then
Yeah.
It's a slippery slope
it's
to
a
music.
slippery. Yes,
Oh.
it is a slippery
That
slope.
was already me because like the guitar, I was like, oh, looking up, oh, let me make it. I was that person already. Oh, I can make it prettier. Like I'll go see my favorite bands and they're acoustic. And my friends are like, why don't you learn how to play it first and commit before you're taking it to like wherever and like make it prettier. But yeah, oh yeah. So maybe I will. Josh, do you have anything to add? I don't know if like
Yeah.
I don't even remember what you said, but like
I don't either, but like hearing Adam and Nick talk about like my early start with music was like fourth grade. Like next that's when like, elementary school, they're like, you can join band now. And I remember my band director, teacher, Mr. Fox, and he was like, what do you want to play? And I was like, I want to play drums. And he's like, no, I got 9 drummers. I need something else.
mm,
So my grandfather played trumpet and he's like, so he gave me his drum. He's like, you can play trumpet. I was like, cool. Like maybe 3 weeks or a month passed, and Mr. Fox was like, yeah, you're not good at this. Here, play this instead. And he gave me a French horn, which is arguably the harder instrument.
yeah, I was gonna say, isn't that the harder?
Yeah, technically it was like a mellophone. It was like the easier is like the marching one. And then by the time I got to high school, they're like, no, he's like, my band director's like, no, you're playing the real one. But
Cool.
I remember like, band was fun. I didn't focus too hard on it, but I remember in middle school where they were doing jazz band, my band director's like, hey, I need a bassist. I have no clue what a bass was at that point. I was just like, I'll do it. I like to commit to the bit. And so it's like, cool. He pulls out this old Fender P bass and he locks me in his office with like another student. And like, we're just goofing off. Like my first song I learned on bass was The Other Side by the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Mhm.
And I spent a whole year like in sixth grade learning how to play bass, and then came around seventh and eighth grade. And he's like, all right, you got to play now. You got to play real music.
Oh,
That's
Josh,
yeah.
what's the difference between the mellophone and the French horn? Is it the mouthpiece, like is a smaller
so
mouthpiece, or
they use the mellophones can use trumpet mouthpieces, but most time we use adapters to play the French horn mouthpiece. But it plays more like a trumpet. It's like a fatter trumpet.
okay?
That's a bigger bell. And then like when you go to French horn, it's squiggly. It's like a little,
Right.
and like you use your left hand to play instead of the right hand.
Oh,
And
that's weird.
and the bell, like the horn, actually plays behind you. So
Yeah, I knew that.
Mhm.
It's like it
stick your
shoots
hand in the
behind
hole.
you.
Yep, and it shoots out to the side. So anytime we were lining up in like for concerts, it was like a big like semicircle, and the French horn was always on the right side. So like that bell that's behind us we're technically shooting it to our side. So like our sides are
Mm.
facing the audience. So like
So you could actually hear it, right?
yeah, so we turned away from like our band director. Uh,
Wow.
we were a rambunctious like group. Like French horns was everybody who played French horn in like my school was all people that tried to play trumpet first, and they're just like nah. And then by the time we got to high school, once it stuck with it, they're either really good or they don't play at all. I sat next to a girl for 3 years that pretended to play the entire time.
Yeah, I had that in my band too. Is people it was definitely you could tell they were not doing it.
She wouldn't make sense. It was hilarious. She was like one of my favorite people. I love Shelby, but she would not play. And then like when our band director called, say, "Hey, play this part." He like call us individually play a part. He goes Shelby, and she's like, "Mm." Was like, "Hey, we'll play with her." He's like, "No, I want to hear it." And she's like, She would never play a note.
Hey, you gotta do what you gotta do. I mean, and two, while we have you here, Josh, anything new with your band, Sunday Complex? Anything new going on?
Actually, so Adam is also in Sunday Complex.
Mhm.
He's our drummer. But we actually recently just did this thing called a Blossom session where
Yeah.
we took our song Not Lost, which we are in the process of actually recording. Adam just did drums, I just did guitar this past week. But we broke it down acoustically. So like Adam's playing a cajon, like the drum box. I'm playing my acoustic guitar. Jenna's still playing her bass and Tab's singing. And we went to this old church in this town by us, and we just shot. We played the song like 5 or 6 times. Like my fingers really hurt by the end of it, but and then recorded like 5 takes and did like an interview. And then like our friend Luke Oxendale, he mixed and mastered it. And then like so now we actually put it on Spotify. So Not Lost Live with Blossom Sessions is on Spotify. But like that's the biggest thing we did so far, like lately.
Mhm. I saw that. I was like, the videos were really good, like
It's very
really
good.
nice. You could tell it was very good quality, and it was almost as if you were watching something I don't know. I mean, MTV, that stuff's not around. But those sessions they used to do with bands, I was like, this is really good quality and just like the look of it all. I watch. I'm like, this is really, really cool. And even I liked the little interview parts they did too. I just thought it was so well done. I was like, this is not like, like not to knock anyone else if they just had someone else do it that it wasn't a professional do it. That you sometimes see like when people do like the reels, like this, like I think it just captured it, especially Tabs. Like I think it captured her like just perfect and like how she sings and just everything. I was like, this is so awesome. So yeah, that's right, Adam. You weren't there last. That's right. Yeah, Jenna, Tabs, and you, Josh, were there.
I was
Yeah.
the ghost. Yep.
Yes, yes. And then obviously too, before we get into Good Vibe and talk all about that, our podcast is kind of like the intersection of music and mental health and how music can help you through a difficult time. So we can start with you, Adam. How has music, and maybe a specific artist or just anything, how has music played a role in helping in your mental health?
Yeah, it's played a huge role. And I think, there's always two sides of it. Like one is, music, it speaks to me, it connects to me. It's great to feel somebody that feels the same way I do when you feel so alone sometimes. But in the other sense, what I found lately, music is a really good way to distract me from my mental health and kind of take me out of, how crazy life can be and how I guess is how shitty life could be. It's good
Hmm.
sometimes to run to these artists to be like, I'm just going to listen to, Brockhampton, and I'm not going to think about anything else in the world except for this music. And that's really what I've been doing a lot lately is I don't want to say running away to the music, but using the music as like a safe place for me to just escape my everyday routine and have a chance to just break through and enjoy some time with my favorite artist.
Yeah, like that's like I everybody that comes on here, it's like that's a similar thing, and maybe they word it differently, but they'll talk about that. And especially like I just had somebody on, oh gosh, yesterday. I'm like, it's been so crazy, but like yesterday, and they were talking to me about how they use it, and there's that specific artist for a certain emotion or this artist, and I'm like, my last person said that like everybody says that, but in their own way. Is there an artist recently that you can pinpoint of like, hey, this one is one I'm like my go-to if I'm in it?
Yeah, I do always go back to Brockhampton.
Hmm.
They're a hip hop group, the best boy band since One Direction. But anytime I'm feeling down or really anything, I'm going straight to them. And I think that's because, when they were dropping new music, it was a part of my time where I was like going through a breakup, going through
Hmm.
my final years of school, just going through a lot, trying to figure out life. And you could tell that they were also in a place where the band was trying to figure out themselves, figure out a record label. And it was just such an exciting time to like, I don't want to say grow with them, but be a part of their journey while I was also in such a pivotal time in my life. So even now, 5, 6 years later, I'm still going back to the Brockhampton days, and letting them take me away from the shitty life that it is.
Yeah, oh, I know, especially nowadays, right? Everything is just, I feel like 2025, once it started, it just hopefully it
It
can go
gets
up from
gloomy.
here. But like I was talking to somebody, like I said, on Saturday, and they were talking about their record or single came out like 2 or 3 weeks ago. But for some reason, just how time is moving and just life and every day you turn the news, there's something else. I thought it was, we both were like, I'm like, I feel like that was so much longer ago than 3 weeks. And yeah, they were like, well, look what every day you turn on the TV, there's something new going on. So like it makes sense. But yeah, like that's so cool. And what about you, Nick? Is there an artist or just music in general? How has that helped you?
That artist for me is the one on my hat and Josh's
Hmm.
shirt. The story so far. I like to say that they're my favorite band, like of all time, if I had to pick one.
It's a good
Because we
choice.
kind of like quote unquote grew up together.
Hmm.
When they first had their breakthrough, when they got their first album on Pure Noise Records, like that album was just like I'd never heard anything like it. I was really into pop punk at the time. Like I was really into like All Time Low and Blink-182 and Newfound Glory and all that. But the story so far was just like I'm like, okay, this is like the new school era pop punk emo, and it has riffs and
Yeah.
like Parker Cannon's lyrics like really resonated with me for some reason. Like even like on their first record. They talked about like a lot of like growing pains, like being young, being going to school, seeing friends, making friends, losing friends. And like you listen to like their most previous record that they put out last summer, and like all the songs are about, him going through losing his dad. And it's like that band has done a lot of growing up like since I started listening to them, and like I have so many like timestamps in my life of like Story So Far songs. I was like, okay, this happened to me, which is right around the time Story So Far dropped this album, and I have all these memories associated with these songs. So it's like that's why they're my favorite band of all time because like I don't know, there's always like some sort of life milestone of mine that like coincides with the Story So Far, and it just kind of sounds like they're like making a soundtrack to my life even though they're not. So for me it's the Story So Far. But anyway, to answer your question broader, like so similar sentiment to Adam, like yeah, I definitely use music as my own mental health treatment like all the time. But like I tell people too, like it can be a double-edged sword. Um, and I'm sure other musicians have told you this exact same thing. Like for as much as it does for me too, like I've had also many countless moments where I'm just like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, what am I doing? Give you some
Hmm.
context. I play in a touring band. We play all over the country. We're called Stacked Like Pancakes, and we play
Oh
s- s-
yeah.
ska
I
punk.
hmm
Okay, yeah, and we were on Warp Tour and like Real Big Fish. Like we've done all the things that we wanted to do, and we're still doing to this day. But it's a little different than being like in a local band. I've noticed that it affects my health, my mental health differently than my local band because like traveling and like meeting new people every day, like having like strangers come up to me and like um buying merch and telling me how great it was and how happy they are to see me and seeing the look on their faces and looking out in the crowd of seeing them sing along and mosh pit and dance and it's just like there's no feeling in the world that describes like there's nothing that makes me happier than to see that like to give that to people because it's like these people are like working 40 hours a week, you know, for some bullshit job they don't want to have or whatever's going on in their life. And they have this thing with me tonight and they're not worried about any of that. Like we're here in this moment together and we're having a real life experience so that like someday when we're laying on our deathbed, we're not thinking about, oh man, that work that day was so tough or, you know, whatever
hmm
was going on. Oh, I really remember. Like, I'm so happy that I got to go see Stack Like Pancakes play in this little club to like 50 people or whatever. But the double-edged sword of that is like when I get home, like from tour, I have to like have my schedule filled out like from the minute I come home, like to keep myself busy because I don't know if anybody else has talked to you about this before, but post-tour depression is a real thing. And for me, the first time like we did our first big tour and we came home, it was in December and it was right around Christmas. Like we got home on Christmas Eve and then like so I didn't really get like a chance to process like this entire month of the past my life. This is like the longest tour I'd ever been on. And we went to California and back. Like we went coast to coast on this tour. And I come back and I'm broke. I'm like penniless, like begging my parents for money, begging my sister for money, like begging my friends for money. And like they so I could like make my rent and my car payment and you know stuff. So like that's what I mean when I say I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? Like
hmm
I'm driving myself crazy doing this. And like there is really stressful moments on tour, like very, very stressful moments. It's like give you an example, like if you're going through like a time zone change or something like that, and like you played in Albuquerque one night, it's a 9 hour drive to Phoenix the next day with a time zone change.
hmm
So it's really like a 10-hour drive. And like if you didn't get good sleep before that, like and by the way, like cannot recommend sleep enough, like on tour or off tour. Mental health, like if music doesn't do it for you, like sleeping will help.
hmm
I love sleeping. It's my second favorite thing to do
hmm
besides playing music. But especially on tour, like I don't know, like when you're sleep deprived like that and you know, you've only slept like cumulatively like 8 hours the past 9 days. I don't know, just like you become irritable and like your friends who you're on tour with will do something or say something that like really irritates you and you just like snap at them out of nowhere. Like something that you wouldn't normally do. Like that's the double-edged sword of playing music, I think, as far as mental health goes. Because it could go either way. It can be really either really fucking awesome, which it
hmm
is all the time, and it can also like I've watched it destroy people at the same time too. Like a couple of my friends who like toured longer than me even like for years and years and years, and they get back and they're just like, I can't do this anymore. Like I'm so drained from this. I never see my family. I never see my girlfriend, my dog, whatever have you.
Yeah.
And it's a very like common story, especially in the touring industry. It's like when I first started doing this is because I loved it and I still love it, but like I'm like 35 years old now, 40 years old now. It's like how much longer do you want to sleep in a Walmart parking lot in a crowded van full of stinky, sweaty guys? Like
Mhm.
how long are you going to keep doing that? That takes a toll on your mental health. Like so I don't know. This is a really long-winded answer.
No, that's so good though. That's why you looked familiar. I'm like, how do I know him? It's on some reel or something. How do I know Nick? Like he looks so familiar. And now I'm like, you had to have been on a podcast or maybe something. Maybe was it
Yeah.
Jam XP or something?
Oh, I was on that Jam XP. Yeah. Okay,
So
sweet. Yeah,
now
Jess.
I'm like, where how do I know him? It
Awesome.
was like one of those things. Like I don't know if anyone watches Love Is Blind. Like I watch it
I
just
love
in
that
the
show.
background. It makes me feel better about myself or whatever. And they're like, one girl's like, "How do I know him?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm trying to piece it." So now hearing
Aw,
that,
thanks. This is the
but
first like podcast I've done like, or one of the first podcasts I've done not as stacked like pancakes. So I'm like,
yeah, yeah. So that's why. But I love everything you said because I just had Dan Rinaldi from Bedlight for Blue Eyes. And that was a long time ago. He was in like a band like 2007, 2008-ish. Toured with like Newfound Glory. Who else? I don't probably not that story so
awesome.
far, but he's toured and wonderful guy. And literally now he does therapy. So he went from being a touring artist to now that. And he was one of the first people to kind of bring up the negative side of music and what it does in touring. A lot of things you're saying, where he had said there were so many times he would like put a blanket over his head and cry on tour because of what you're describing, and just you had to suck it up because you had to get to the next state or the next date, whatever it was, because that's how you get paid and that's how you do that. And he was talking about that. I'm like, I guess I didn't, when I see artists, I just go see them. I don't think about everything that led up, like the drives, like you're describing. I can only imagine doing it across country or in the time zone, right? Like where you change, because already when you fly, you feel that. But now you're
Yeah.
driving and then you have to play. And then a lot of times after that late show, you hop on another drive. And sometimes maybe that's a 5, 6 hour drive. Like I would have friends and bands do the same thing. And
Hmm.
I never thought about like maybe the negative side. So I think it's really great that you brought that up and that he brought that up too, that more people, yes, it's a great thing and it's so great. But for musicians, it can also be really bad. Like you said, like, especially if you're in your mid 30s or even 30s or whatever it is, you're trying to figure out life. You love music so much, you want to do it, but it comes with a lot. Like you don't get paid a lot. Yeah, I guess we all don't think about that with
No,
musicians. We don't,
no.
I don't, I don't until I started doing this and hearing like, wow, like that kind of really sucks.
Yeah. Well, to expand a little bit further, like I don't want to say the name of the band, but we did a run with a band a few years back, like right after the pandemic, and like every show was fucking awesome, and their fans love them, and they're always like put on a good happy face, good time, always talking to people at the merch table. Like you would never think, anything's wrong. But like I found out like later on that like the band members were like ready to kill each other at any time.
Mhm.
Like but like they hid it from everybody else, and even our touring party, like stuff over like money, just stupid things. Like I mean people that have been friends with each other for like 10 plus years, and like those
Mhm.
friendships get ruined like the minute they go on tour. It's like it could go a lot of ways, and a lot of people aspire, like even Pittsburgh, we have a lot of rig, and we'll get into this with Good Vibe and stuff. But
Mhm.
even in Pittsburgh, we have a lot of bands that are just really really eager to like tour and get out there and do it and stuff, and like a lot of them are like really really young too.
Mhm.
And so, like, if they come to me and ask me for advice, I'm like, I absolutely recommend doing it. Yes, absolutely do it. But just know, like, your best friend that you're going on this tour with might be your sworn enemy when you get back. Like, it could go a lot of different ways. So just make
Mhm.
sure that you take care of yourself, take care of your mental health. You don't want to be the one who has to put a blanket over their head and cry on
Yeah.
the way to. I mean, I've done that. Like, I literally have been crying. Like, I remember one night I was in Albuquerque and like I just couldn't sleep for shit. And we're in the middle of New Mexico, and we just played a show to like 8 or 10 people. While just 2 months prior, or a couple months prior, we were playing Warp Tour on like the biggest stage to thousands of people, and it's just like what happened. And yeah, I had to go through that, and then I lost my best friend. I didn't lose my best friend. He was in the band with me, and he quit after that tour. So then I had to do the next tour without my best friend, and like I don't know. It's a lot of challenges. But even all that stuff like said, like I still can't recommend it enough. Like
Mhm.
start a band, see the world, travel, make memories, like live your life, live a full experience. Because when you're laying on your deathbed, you're not going to be thinking about, oh, I'm really glad I made that payment. Oh, I'm really glad I saved money on that. I'm really glad I used that coup. No one thinks about that. Like you think
Mhm.
about the experiences that you've had and like the real memories that you made with real people. Like that's real riches to me. So
No, it's so great with Pittsburgh. Like I can say that. Like we've had, oh gosh, from Sunday Complex heading north, Old Neon. That's what started it. I love those guys. Gosh, Dream the Heaven, Heavy, Foamer. Who else? Someone I think Pitter Patter.
Yeah, hit
They're
it.
going to come on. Their PR agency reached out, and I was like, "Yes, I'll take because it's Pittsburgh, and I just love all the bands there." And I'm like, "All right, I'll make it happen. I'll make it work in my like schedule." But I think yeah, that's so important because I think when I do this podcast with my best friend, she's had to take a break from it. But it's one of those things when you do anything with a friend, you have to like it's tough. And I can't speak of it from a band, but I can speak of it. And I love Justine if she's listening. But there are moments where we even have to be like, all right, cool. Like
yeah,
we are friends. We are friends. Like this is your friend speaking, and then this is Lisa speaking of like we got to get this podcast stuff going. And I think and it's separating those two is even hard, I'll say, even on me. So I can't imagine a band to do that because even me, I find it tough to like, okay,
yeah.
like how do we do this?
Big
Especially if
balance.
there's pressure on you, like to be a band, like
Yeah.
stuff like the record label just gave us these thousands of dollars and now we're going on tour. We have to sell this many shirts. And it's like when there's external pressure, like I see that a lot of people start butting heads over that kind of stuff too. Like even if it has nothing to do with anything going on in the band, like somebody in the band feels a lot of pressure to succeed because of what they're doing, and that is taking a toll on everybody else. So
Mhm. Yeah, like especially nowadays too, where a lot of labels, I know they pressure you too with like social media, the TikToks gonna have this views. Oh, now we have to sell like whether it's merch because just like we were talking about CDs, nobody really buys CDs, which I think is sad. Like it sucks. But people, even vinyl, some people, not everyone's gonna throw down to buy a vinyl. And I think I can't imagine that stress of your label or manager or anyone telling you to do this. And then you're trying to keep your head afloat and you're doing this and you're barely getting by and all the pressures. I think that's one thing. I mean, when I have on, whether it's on a small scale band that doesn't really want to tour as much and just plays shows, which is important. And then the touring level, when I hear somebody say stuff, it's like, damn. That's why we have to support. Like anyone listening, like buy the shirt, buy the ticket, buy the vinyl. I'm such a person where anyone I have on, whether it's their band camp, like a virtual tip jar, or whatever it is, I do that because I'm not just saying like, hey, support. Like you have to do that. And then watching my friends' bands come up, and even like any band these days, it sucks. And it's even touring, it's expensive, right? Gas is so expensive. If you want to spend the night somewhere, say you don't want to sleep in the van, then that's an expense. And I think that a lot of us don't always think about that. Or then especially when we get mad if there's a show canceled, maybe like the van breaks down or something like that. People don't think about that. And they're just quick to be a keyboard warrior of like saying stuff on the internet. They love to do
Oh
that.
yeah. When you're
Yeah.
going and buying merch from the tour band, like you don't realize like how far it goes. Like they just spend all this money on gas, like you said, maybe they rented a
Mhm.
vehicle, maybe they rented a trailer, maybe they have to pay their front of house engineer or their tour manager, or their merch manager, or like they have so like being a tour band, like you have so much overhead costs that like you didn't account for. Like even if you think you accounted for everything, give yourself a couple of $1,000 of wiggle room because something's going to happen, like
Hmm.
guaranteed. Whether it happens before the show or after the show, stuff gets canceled, people get sick, like bands have to drop off, like it's something happens to you, like what if you have to cancel? Like I don't know. There's like it's the same thing that you just said. People don't think about those things. So when you're giving your money to the touring band, like that's why we're like, thank you so much for
Hmm.
paying $30 for a t-shirt.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And you see it. You see the like the light in their eyes, like, what? Or you're gonna let me keep this as a tip? Like I always get like let everybody keep whatever it is. Like say the shirts, say my
Oh,
total is 40 or whatever. I give it. I'm like, here, just keep it. And they're like, what? You have it? Yeah, just keep it. Like I don't, I want you to do it. And it's like I think it's was instilled in me of like going to my friends' shows and doing all that when I was younger, of you do that. So then now I don't even think twice about it. And I wish everybody wouldn't even think twice. I know times are hard, things are this, but we all have like an extra $5 to be like, just
Yeah, it
keep.
goes a long way. Like I definitely like as good vibe and we work with a lot of touring bands coming to our region,
Yeah.
and like we throw money at like they bring their merch. We're like we'll buy extra. Like you said, like it's $30 t-shirt. I'll give them 40. Be like, all right, cheers now.
Mhm. Yeah. And I mean, I don't know, Josh, did you have anything
Okay.
to add from your last time with mental health, or do we want to get into
Um,
good vibe? It's up to you.
that's a
like
good
I think
segue right there, Josh.
Yeah.
a lot of what I said about mental health still stands. I think.
Still
Um,
stands.
like honestly, like I think I came into like a big mental health turnaround. Like I had a very rough time the first when we were coming. I was in a very rough patch. We did the first podcast. Now like
Hmm.
a lot of stuff's turned around. I've come to like a bunch of conclusions, and like I'm just living stuff like it is what it is, and like I have a better outlook on life right now, which is like I'm taking things day by day, and everything's doing great, and
That's
I'm
good.
just doing things I want to do. Like I'm seeing bands I want to see. Like I literally in January I went to Chicago to see
Hmm.
Knucklepuck's 10 year of copacetic.
Yeah.
It was like that was an album like where I just graduated high school when it came out, and it was just like, and like I didn't realize how much I really loved it till like I was like going back and listening to it, and I was like, oh, I'm just gonna go. Like had no plan on how I'm getting there or where I'm staying, but I bought a ticket, and then my friend Brandon's like, I'll come with you. So I was like, cool. And we had like a bunch of good like a great group that went there, and we just went explored Chicago. Like I asked you for, I'm like, hey, what
Hmm.
in Chicago?
Yeah. Oh, I was so jealous. And I think that to me looked like such a, I wanted to try and go to that. And that looked like a once in a lifetime. And then of course I know they added other shows, but at that moment to be there in Chicago where they're from, and I was so jealous when I was giving you those tips because obviously like I used to live over there and it was like, man, I should have just went. Like so found a
It
way.
was such an amazing experience, and like it was great. Origami Angel opened, and like they're one of
Mm-hmm.
my like all time favorite. Like they're up there. Like I discovered them like last year, the year before that, and then just like everything they put out or have put out is just so good. So I had a good time there, and then as soon as like Knuckle Puck opened wall to wall, like I was literally like talking in the pit, and then as soon as the first guitar chord slammed, like we got I got pushed so far forward. Like I couldn't move anymore. I was just getting thrown closer and closer to the front. I was
Yeah.
like, okay, I am stuck here from now on.
How do you treat your mental health? I smash into other people
Yeah.
in crowds.
Pretty much. It's so cathartic,
It is.
honestly.
It is.
Like
And there's nothing.
you just scream, finger point, and
Mhm.
then like run
It's,
into
it's
people.
crazy. Yeah.
There's
And I feel
nothing.
good. I feel so much better about myself.
There's nothing like being in a crowd because I went to go see last year I was going through something and I saw the band Thursday and they played at Garwood,
Nice.
and it's tiny. It was like 250, capacity, probably I don't even less. And I was just I almost didn't go that night because I was really going through it. And I was like, I'm not going to go. I'm like, how can I not go? This sold out so fast. What am I doing? And I went and there was something about they played the first song and I'm still like, oh, just sitting in the back. And I remember they played like Cross Out the Eyes and I was like, oh my gosh, I love this song. I love Thursday. Had to get to the front. And there was something cathartic about being in that crowd and just the sweatiness and just hearing that and just seeing Jeff Rickley's like smiling face and just I think people don't think about that. Yeah, you listen to music for your mental health, but like being a part of that, and especially your favorite band, like yeah,
Oh yeah.
that lineup looked amazing. Like
Wow.
I
Yeah,
think
and you just sing along. I just saw Thursday recently too. Like and they played after like one of my favorite bands, Arms Length and like Silverstein.
oh yeah, yeah, that's right. Yeah,
That
I
was
didn't.
And this was a 250 cap room.
It has to be. Crossroads is tiny.
That's awesome.
Like it's literally when you walk in, if you ever go to Crossroads in Garwood, which I recommend anyone. I know Brian Fallon of Gaslight Anthem plays there. Anthony Green, my favorite of all time, plays there. Who else?
We love
Obviously,
big artists who downplay rooms.
like
Thursday are arguably one of the most legendary emo bands of
mhm.
all time for the past 20 years.
Oh, yeah, they played yeah, I have to think it has to be. Someone told me it was I mean, because when you walk in, it's tiny. Like it's a little restaurant, but it's like you even walk into the parking and it's gotta be maybe even less. I don't know. Now I got to look into this. Someone told me 250, but who knows? But yeah, moments like that are so cool. And obviously, too, I know we could talk music all day, but I want to talk good vibes too. And I kind of want to give you guys the floor. Whoever wants to talk about it, you can all talk about it. What is it for anyone listening? And kind of start there.
The founder should start it.
So good vibe. It's we book bands, to put it simply.
Yeah.
But I think as of lately we've been doing a lot more than that. We try to foster a community. We try to put bands that are not from Pittsburgh a safe place to play and get them hooked up with some local bands, and try to work on those connections as well. Good Vibes started in 2015, so this is now 10 years later.
Yeah.
It started with just three dudes from Newcastle, Pennsylvania, an hour out. We threw a couple shows here and there in town, in Newcastle, and then grew a little bit. We added a couple people on. I mean, now we have a team of like 8, 9 people. So we really grew this family. And for me, I mean, my God, I've met my best friends and my family from this company. So we book bands, but it's just so much more than that, I think, for us and for the scene.
Yeah, it's just like Good Vibe just expanded. Like we did become a good fan. I remember just meeting you guys and I was just like, okay. And then I just kind of like shuffled along, like Gap Guy invited to things. And then I'm like, hey, I'm gonna book a show. Is that cool? And then like that went to that. I book like a lot of the bands that like shows that we do. And so Linder, Nick here also like books a lot of the shows we do. And like Adam said, we grow community. It's really cool how like we connect like local bands like in our scene with like touring bands, and like then we go see them go off to like Philly and like just
Hmm.
hit up like these touring bands that like we brought like my cousin's girlfriend's house or like Amora, and like our friends would just go off to Philly or whatever, play with them. Heck, me, Adam, we've stayed at Pete's house when we went to Philly before. Like,
It's almost like we're a matchmaker for these bands, like we're like the real life Tinder of music.
Hmm.
We get these bands and connect them together, and hopefully they swipe right or whatever the right direction is. I don't use Tinder. And they like each other, and then they'll go on dates in other states.
yep,
Yeah. I was like looking, I even looked at your page. I was like, there's a lot of people I've had on. Like I think Gabe Woodrow follows you.
yes,
Which oh
had him
gosh,
back in November. He was great.
oh, he's awesome. I love him so much. And other people, I'm trying to think, but I think that's really cool. And obviously starting it. But what do you guys think is like, would you say is the biggest? I don't know. I don't want to say that yet. What are you most proud of? Would you say? I was gonna say challenge, but let's like make it positive right now. What do you
Um,
think? What are you most proud of so far?
I would say
I'm
for me, like our biggest event every year is the Newcastle Music Festival.
Mm-hmm.
And I think why I'm most proud is because that is like where it all started. We do base a lot of ourselves out of Pittsburgh, but we're from Newcastle, Pennsylvania. So being able to go back to our hometown and have our biggest event every year, it's just really cool to be able to do that for our city.
Yeah.
yeah. Adam is from Newcastle.
Hmm.
I'm from like New Ken, but like I think a big positive like is just how much like I think since I've joined Good Vibe back in like 2020, 2021, is how much like our scene has grown. And like I feel like we're not the main cause, but we've had a big part of it. Like I've met countless bands and friends just from like not only do we like throw shows, but we go to a lot of shows.
Hmm.
Like constant. I was just at a show last night. Like I was talking our friends and threaded who like Mitch, who's in Nick's other band, Crash Nebula. He plays in a band called Thread, and so I went to go see them, and we just hung out and just like we're always seeing at least one other person we know at these shows, and it's really cool to see like this interconnected web of like just people that just are going out on a Monday night because oh my friend's playing a show
Hmm.
and whatnot, and like it's really cool how much like this community has grown, and like I think like being part of Good Vibe and just being able to like interconnect and like I'm always on the lookout for new bands or like even bands that my friends are playing. And just like this community is like really cool. How like I always go to it. Anytime I go to a show, I'll see at least like four of the people from four different bands. Like I saw Ryan Sharp last night. He's
Hmm.
Headlights.
Yeah,
Like
another band we've had on. I'm like, oh gosh, whoops, forgot him. But yeah, no, yeah, he's great too. So I know that's one thing I've noticed about I know Pittsburgh in general and just the East Coast in general. It's all community, and it sounds like you're doing that now with Good Vibe too. You're just furthering that community because that was one thing I've told people like since coming out to the East Coast. Like I've loved Chicago, I loved all that. We had it, but a lot of it was almost like the competition aspect of like, especially if you wanted to do anything like this or a podcast or anything, it was, oh, well, you got the bigger one. Or if you're a band and you got the bigger show, they would sit there and it was a very competition like, and I don't know if it still is like that if anyone's listening in the Chicago area, but it was. And coming out to the East Coast, it's not that way. There's a lot more community. I see it. Anyone I've had on, like the Pittsburgh bands or anyone from New Jersey, it's a big community aspect. So I love to see that's kind of carrying into that. And Nick, did you have anything to add to it?
Oh, Chicago's definitely got an ego for sure.
Thank you. Someone
Yeah.
finally has said it because I have had some bands on and I'm like, I'm from there. I'm been around
Yeah. I don't
those.
even think it's like on purpose though, because
Right.
it's like I don't know. Chicago's like the biggest city like in the Midwest, so like if you're a West Coast band and you're headed, like Chicago is probably like the last thing you're gonna get to before you hit to the East Coast, and like same
Hmm.
thing, vice versa, West Coast. And like if you're Milwaukee or Minneapolis, like I don't know, I've played. Our usual tour routing goes from Minneapolis, Milwaukee, Chicago, and then we head east or west depending wherever it is from Chicago. We're gonna be in Chicago in a couple months actually, but I just noticed that like Minneapolis and like Milwaukee, since they're north of Chicago, they don't get a lot of like the big tours. Like
Hmm.
they skip over those markets because they're too far away. And so they'll just go to Chicago, and people from those states will go to Chicago to see those shows. So I think that's kind of where the Chicago's like ego comes from. I don't know if I had to like
Maybe
guess,
their pizza.
but it's such a like
No.
maybe
yep, so
that.
good.
Chicago's also like a gigantic city, like,
Yeah.
and it's a gigantic like market. Like there's music scenes inside of music scenes and everything in between in Chicago. And it's just like so saturated because it's like the hub of the Midwest. So of course, like you're gonna get like I don't know. I don't are if you're into like hardcore at all,
Hmm.
Lisa?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like it's so blatantly obvious in the hardcore scene, like, and everybody talks about it in the hardcore scene. Everybody's trying to like sound
Hmm.
heavier, tougher, have
Oh,
have the better beat down. Who's gonna whose fans are gonna mosh
oh,
harder? It's like it's so yeah, but a lot it spills over to other genres as well. It's not just like I'm not picking on hardcore or anything, but
no,
like
but it is, but that is, I even growing up, like that's where I first started in my local scene was the hardcore scene because it was so big to where I was. And then of course you go from hardcore to pop punk and then post-hardcore and then you end up, wherever. I was like joking with my guest that was on, Greg of A Moment's Notice, and he was on, and I was like, somehow I went on this like ride of post-hardcore to doing pop punk, but then going into this, and then next thing I know, I'm listening to Will Ramos of like Lorna Shore, and this is where I'm at. Somehow this led me. Would I ever think I would? No, but like, and of course, any guy listening to that would be like, no, no way. But yeah, hardcore for sure. And again, not to knock anyone, but like that, yeah, it's
yeah.
it's a
Pittsburgh's like that too, especially with our hardcore scene. I played in a deathcore band like
mhm.
12 years ago, and like it was even worse back then. I mean, I was way younger. I had no business being there with all those dudes, but it was a lot of like, and I play guitar and I suck at guitar. And so like a lot of those shows I remember would just be like a lot of older dudes with beards and long hair standing in
Yeah.
the back of the room with their arms folded,
Oh yeah, the
looking at
arms
us.
folded. Yeah, that's the thing. The arms folded. It's like the meme even. I'm like, that's so true. There's like, I can tell you that anytime they're always there. And I try not to be that person. I'm like
And they're
now that I'm older, I try not to be in the back with my arms folded. I don't want to be that
well,
guy.
they're thinking like they're not thinking what you're thinking. They're thinking like, oh, he plays that. Oh, his gain's too far. Oh, his tone sucks. Or I could play those chugs way cleaner
Oh,
than that kind of shit.
That's
But then you go to a punk show and like or a ska show, and
yeah.
none of that matters. Like
Hmm.
everybody's fair game. It's such
Yeah.
a stark difference.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's
It's
like
wild to think about.
our hardcore scene's pretty like popping off too. Like we have a spot called Preserving Underground.
Hmm.
And I was just at a hardcore show, and he said they got the old heads against the back wall, and like people are like moshing, like crowd killing, and like just going crazy, and like it was hilarious watching these guys go, "Wait, why don't run into me?" And then, and then a dude like went and ran into him and crowd killing, and they went and grabbed him. He's like, "Why I oughta?" And by the end of the show, like they went from like scared to like goofing off and doing like some of the moves. I was just like the turnaround, like I witnessed between a 4 band bill was
Probably a
crazy.
couple more beers.
Wild,
They got
yeah.
this, so.
Probably. And like
At the end of it, he was just like, "Okay, I will goof off."
yeah. I mean, while we could talk about those scenes all day, like what is back to like good vibe and everything. So like what would be the biggest struggle you faced and what is something that you've kind of learned from that as you're doing all this?
I think a really hard thing is we kind of mentioned earlier, like working in a group setting with very passionate people. When we're doing this, like we kind of have to not have an ego. You have to be able
Mhm.
to come up with an idea, or be able to throw out an idea, and if it sucks, it sucks. Like you have to be able to work as a team. So it is hard, with everyone being so passionate. But obviously each day, each event, each show, we've really molded together. And we're really getting on the same page, I think, with like the vision and everything. But I think like, how we mentioned earlier, like just getting all these passionate people together, and trying to stay in one lane and trying to stay focused can definitely be difficult. And I think another thing too is, we're a business at the end of the day. So trying to juggle of how much we want to help the community and how much do we want to make money. I'll never forget a long time ago, I think before Noel and Nick, we had like a good vibe meeting and we were like, what's our vision this year? Like, what is our goal? And we kind of set a thing where it was like, all right, 10% profit, 90% community. And we kind of rolled with that where it's like, you can't forget, we need to make money. But at the end of the
Mhm.
day, if we're able to build a community, and give, and we're now finally seeing they'll give back to us. But it's hard, it's hard to look at the numbers and stay positive sometimes. We're still trying to run a successful business, but I would say those are probably the hardest things for Good Vibe right now.
Yeah, and like adding on to that, like Adam said, like I don't see the numbers, so I'm a lot happier. I'm more
Mhm.
community side and good vibe. But like even like 90% community, 10% profit is I really a lot pretty accurate for us now. Like we have shows and like good vibe takes maybe 20% max, and that literally just pays for like, oh, we brought our sound system, or like we're paying rent on the studio space that we run, or like just trying to cover good vibes basic costs, and the rest go to all the bands. Like we'll throw a little extra money towards the touring bands, but like but we make sure to pay every single band, because like we're all artists. Like
Mhm.
me and Am are in a band, Am and Nick are in a band together. Like half a good vibe just swaps members to like other
Mhm.
projects.
Mhm.
So like we understand what it is like to be an artist and want to play shows, and we want to encourage people to still want to play shows. And like I think we've all been there, but we're down to play a show for free. We will give our cut to a touring band, especially if like we do very bad on bringing people, because it happens sometimes. We cannot bat 100 every time. Like
Yeah. I'd say our biggest challenge too, I think we've done a fairly well job at this, by the way. Adam and Josh, you can correct me if you think I'm wrong, but one of the biggest challenges I think that we've faced was like not trying to recycle the same local bands on every single one of our shows, like
Mhm.
yes,
finding new artists and like branching out of beyond our immediate friend group. It's not as easy as it sounds because even though Pittsburgh's like a very small market, it's the same thing as I said about Chicago. There's scenes within scenes and there's cliques within cliques. And like some people like, oh, I don't know Good Vibe. I don't know anybody, so I don't,
yeah,
they don't really give it a thought or whatever. It's not that they have any animosity against us or anything, but they just like don't know. They just don't know us, and it's like, why am I going to play one of their shows? Like when I
Mhm.
know this other promoter in town is going to give me a guarantee or a door deal or something like that. Like I've had, they had their success of what they do, and they want to stick with that, but we still get them. Like we
yeah,
we
Mhm.
got a lot
Yeah.
of new artists last
like
in 2024 that we never had
Yeah.
before, and like our
absolutely,
we get hit up all the time by DIY artists who are touring, like people that you've never even heard of, like everybody who like can't get a hold of like Drusky or like Opus One, like the bigger name promoters
Mhm.
in city, like they'll get a hold of us and then we'll do it. Even if there's like 10, 20 people at a show, they'll be like the most thankful people that we even like put on a show for them at all. And
Yeah.
it's just like the best people. But I would say like that's the biggest challenge is like making sure that it stays fresh, the gene pool's fresh, you know.
No,
Hmm.
for sure. Like I like what Nick said, like I when like me and him we talk about like who we want to book, I actively try to at least every show we get book a band I've never booked before. And obviously there's times I'm like, oh, we get friends coming from out of state, come and play again. I was like, oh, I'm gonna throw the homies on it. But like I at least try to make one band that we haven't booked at all before on that bill.
Yeah, because you never know. Because some of those bands that we've never booked before and everything, like sometimes they bring a lot of people, like, and you didn't know. Maybe it's like their
Huge
parents and then
surprise.
all their parents' friends or
Hmm.
whatever. And
Mhm.
next thing you know, you just got like $100 through the door, and like, oh great, now we have enough money to pay ourselves, and we have enough money to pay the touring band. You know, sometimes it's a hit or miss, but sometimes like when it hits, it really hits.
It's so
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
good.
I have any respect for that because I remember I had a friend back in Chicago that would do some of the booking and for like I can't remember the venue, but they would talk about it. I think it was the Bottom Lounge. But when they would talk about that and all the stress, I just assumed, oh, like someone, me being not educated in that would say, oh, well, it's got to be easy. They come through, you book them, you get them in, you do this, that, and they're like, no, it doesn't really work that way. Like there's a lot to it. This is why I have this position, and it just taught me too to then respect those people. Not that I didn't have respect, but have a higher respect of yes, we see these shows and these tours, but they don't run without people booking those shows, without the people, the staff of those venues and just everything that I guess we all just, again, don't think about when here's my ticket. Let me go into this venue. Let me not think about it. Everything to successfully run that. And it really made me stop to think like, okay, there's a lot more to this. And I used to always say, oh, I want to own a venue. Like back in the day, I was like, I'm going to own a venue with like a record store and a coffee shop to it and do all this stuff. And like, yeah, it's not yet, but who knows one day. But it was like, I never even it occurred to me when someone told me all that goes into it. It was like, wow,
Yeah, I think if
it's
if
wild.
if if the people who come to our shows, like if they don't notice all that behind the scenes stuff and they just go and have a good time, that means we did our job
Yeah,
perfect.
that's a
Hmm.
successful night.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like if there's something to you, I guess, on your journey of doing this and involved in Good Vibe, if something that you know now that you wish you knew when you started it, what would that be?
For me, if I could go back and like tell myself what I know now is be like, don't be scared to take risks. Like,
Hmm.
don't be afraid to book that band or reach out to that band that you think will never book. I think we hold ourselves back a lot by fears and doubts. And I think it took Good Vibe a lot to grow because we were just so scared of, oh, how is Pittsburgh going to accept us? How are we going to be able to get our name out there? Yeah, if I could go back, I would say, shut up and just do it. Give
Hmm.
it a shot. You have nothing to lose. And I think now we really go with the mentality we could do anything. And I think everyone on our team has that mentality. And it's just a great like we made it.
Hmm.
I also think like if I would give myself any advice, like, even in just booking shows, even before Good Vibe, I was thinking if unless somebody's like actively talking shit on you or whatever, like don't take things so personally. Like if a band that you book and you had high expectations for, if they come and they only sell 3 tickets or something like that, like and they didn't promote the show, like they posted it on Instagram one time or something
Hmm.
like that, and it's like don't take that personally because don't take that as your own failure as the promoter because it's like you can't care about someone's band more than that person cares about their band. If they want to promote the show and if they want to hustle tickets, they will do it. So it's like, don't beat yourself up over unsuccessful shows. Like, oh, I could have done more in my power. Maybe you could have, but at the end of the day, like we do this for the bands and we love it because we love the community and we want to have a music scene in Pittsburgh. So it's like you kind of gotta like separate that a little bit. Like you take your ego out of the situation and you're like, I'm not doing this for me anymore. I'm doing this for the scene because the scene has given so much to me. I don't know.
Hmm.
That'll be my biggest piece of advice. Just don't take if it goes bad, don't take it personally. Just keep going.
Hmm. And that's even something I had to learn, even doing this. Don't take it personally. Like, especially like if a band say does come on, or even little thing. I think that's in anything in the industry. Don't take it personally. That's the
I
best
agree.
thing. Because in the beginning, I definitely took it personally, and I had to learn that. Like, relax. It's okay if they don't share it. Like every reel, or even like acknowledge it. Like it's not a you thing. Like just
Yeah.
figure it out. But anything you want to add, Josh?
I think Am and Nick definitely took like the two big points is like they said like we aren't afraid to reach out to artists. Like heck, there's bands that I'm like, I want them to play Pittsburgh. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'll just DM them. You'll be
Hmm.
surprised how much that even works to get like a response. Like we booked like bands that like I didn't even think we would just because like we weren't afraid to reach out or like we went to a show and talked to them.
Yeah.
And like also like I put on my shoulders a lot. Like I want every event to be awesome. I want it to sell out, but sometimes they don't. And like
Hmm.
you said, you can't be too hard on yourself about it. Like I said, they really like hit the nail on the head right there. Just like
We got you.
Yeah.
Actually, most times they don't sell out.
Yeah.
yeah, I think we count on one
You didn't
hand
have to say
our
that.
amount of sold out shows. But
Hey,
they were
the
awesome
sold out shows hit that much harder then. You know
for
what I
real.
mean? Because
Hmm.
when you had when you had 5 or 6 shows where there's only 8, 10 people, and then you have one show there's 150 people there, you're like, fuck yeah!
Right. Yeah.
If you
You
had 150
appreciate it.
people every night, you wouldn't, it would be second nature to
Yeah,
you.
that'd
Yeah.
be the new standard. And then like we get the 50, we're like, oh, 8 and 50 is even better than the 8 before, and we'd still be a little bit bummed.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
This makes me think, Lisa. I think you had someone on the other day from New Jersey who was talking about um what they do out in New Jersey, like booking shows. I forget what they were called.
Yeah.
But he was saying how going to these shows where there's like 8 to 10 people, it actually like is almost better. Like it means more. Those 8 to 10 people are there for a reason.
Hmm.
Like it is 8 or 10 people, but like they're fucking going crazy for you. They're here because they love you and they want to see you. And yeah,
Yeah.
150 people sold out shows are awesome. But sometimes there's more intimate shows. That's when you really get a chance to like connect with the fans or connect with the bands, and it could be a lot of fun too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like I remember even going to go, sometimes I was the in those shows of those 8 people of my friends, and or not even my friends, maybe a band that would come into town, and it was like, yeah, those were fun because I could interact with the band. I could do that, I mean, I'm sure maybe they would have wished more than 8 people showed up, but I, even as a fan, that was really really cool to have that. I forget where it was. It was somewhere back home in Illinois. I don't know where, but it was really cool. So I think, and then too, because I know I've kept you guys a little long, but like this is really good. But for you guys to kind of, if someone wants to reach out, and I'll have all the links, everything, what is the best way for someone to reach out if they want to reach out to you guys?
so the best way to reach out to us, like they can DM our Instagram, like Goodbye Booking.
Yeah.
We are very responsive, and also like they could just email us, booking at goodbyebooking.com. Just that email will go to all of us, and one of us will respond eventually. And if we do suck at it, just do it again.
Or come
Yeah.
to a good vibe show, even better.
Yeah,
See us
Yeah.
in person.
I'm just like there's always at least like 3 of us at a Good Vibe show from our team.
There's a lot that goes into our spam folder too, because
Hmm.
like we get a lot of copy paste emails. Because like booking agents will do that. They'll just have a copy paste format, and they'll send a bunch of venues and just change the dates and the venues and stuff. So Google sees that, and it's like, oh, this was a bunch of copy pasted shit, and so it goes to our spam folder. So if we don't answer like right away, like on email, I would say like send us Facebook or Instagram. That'd be the best way to contact us, I would
Yeah.
say.
Yeah, I feel like that's been everybody's Instagram, Facebook, all that. And I guess too, before I let you go, is there one show that you're excited about that you have on the way?
March Radness.
Adam, so
Yeah.
dude, March Madness is gonna be fun. We're Sunday's playing with Gabby Hanna.
Oh, the Gabby Hanna?
The Gabby
Gabby
Hanna.
Whoa. Oh my gosh, I didn't even know she was still around.
So she's
We
from
didn't
Newcastle
either.
as well. So we kind of have a strange connection there. So yeah, she's
Yeah.
gonna headline the March Radness. Kenny Potter's is playing. Who's the other one? Oh, Tony Rello's playing. So it is a really stacked lineup in my opinion.
Hmm.
But I'm definitely looking forward to that. It's at local 724 studio in Beaver Falls. 50 people max. So it should be a really fun one.
very crowded and intimate. So it will sell out. And I'm really looking forward to in April, we got this band from Heading East Records, Winter Forever is coming to town. And like our friends in like Mallory Run, who's a big local,
Mhm.
they're also playing. This is their first time playing in our studio space. And they're also like planning on shooting a music video there. So it's just
Oh,
gonna be
wow.
action. And so like that one I'm really looking forward to. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
This isn't a good vibe show, but
Boo.
since Lisa's Chicago based, I would say Stacked Like Pancakes is coming to Cobra Lounge
Oh,
in Chicago on Friday, May 8th, and we are going to be playing with Devin K and the Solutions, Stop the Presses, Rude Echoes from Chicago, as well as I Voted for Kudos. So great five band Chicago bill coming up at the Cobra Lounge.
oh wow. Yeah, no. Oh, I wish I need to get back there because now I'm in New Jersey, so it's like now, but the Cobra Lounge is great. I recommend it. Like I love that place so much. So yeah, anyone back home, go check it out. Go to Cobra Lounge. Go do
Yeah,
that.
I hope to see you there.
Yeah. Anytime you're in central New Jersey or around New Jersey, that's where I'm at. So
Just gonna have to make a
Definitely hit you up.
yeah, yeah. Oh, that, yeah. Because that's the one thing where you were just saying too, people skip. I know some markets do skip New Jersey. They're like, oh, just go to New York. Oh, it's a hop, skip,
Right.
and a jump. No, it's not. It's
Or
expensive.
Philly.
Yeah, it is not a hop, skip, and a jump for me to go to New York City or even Philly. It's not bad, but it's not as easy as you think. And
right. And Jersey has good bands too. Like I think in July
Mhm.
we have Friend Circle coming to
Oh
town
wow.
and they're from Jersey. Like we actually had them last year. They played at our venue, Local 724, and then the next day they played a house show with us. Because they're
Hmm.
like, we just want another date. And we're like, we're throwing a party. You want to just come play that? So
Yeah.
they did that, and now they're coming back to town in July. So like we're throwing a show there. And Nick, his band Crash Nebula is gonna be playing that one.
Yeah, I bet. Do you know, Lisa, do you know
Yeah.
it's a place called Tunes Records in Voorhees, New Jersey?
No.
Voorhees, I don't know. It's a really, really small town.
Yeah, I'm like that's got to be southern, right? Southern Jersey or no?
Yeah,
Voorhees?
it's closer to Philly.
Okay.
Yeah, Philly booking promoters
Hmm.
booked there, but super small record store. My band Crash Nebula, we played there last summer with Main Street Detour actually, and that was the last time we were in New Jersey, and there wasn't a whole lot of people there. So like ever since that day, we were like, damn, we gotta get back to New Jersey. We gotta get a good show in New Jersey. Like,
Hmm.
so I'll hit you up. I'll send you a DM or something.
Yes, yes, because I always say that like I in either people come like again like the South Jersey close to because it's close to Philly, I get it, or it's northern, it's like Montclair they'll come because that's a good place for bands to go, especially it's closer to the city. But I'm like, man, we have like the Stone Pony. I mean I get it, most bands aren't going to play the Stone Pony, but we have like House of Independence like here in Central Jersey. We've got some venues over here that are easier, but again, it's probably depends on your routing, all that good stuff. It's not, I don't know how it is to book those or get in there. I'm gonna probably tough. I don't know. But
Hey, just
yeah.
having friends in other cities and other states is like you're already one step forward. So
Oh my
thank you
gosh.
so much for having us on the podcast, by the way. I don't know if I said that yet.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say thank you guys so much for like wanting to come on. I know when I saw it on the calendar, I'm like, okay, this is the last one I have before we have to move into our new place. And I'm like sitting there like, all right, this is gonna be a good one to like end on for a little bit before I have to record again. So I
Oh,
appreciate you guys coming on and you too, Josh, for like reaching out a while ago, like, hey, I want to get good vibe on. So I appreciate that too.
Thank you again for having us. Like love your podcast. I listened to it, and then I'm like, one being able to be on it, and I was like, oh, that
Yeah.
was great. And I was just like, we talked a little bit about Good Vibe that first time around. I was like, no, we
Yeah.
need to get like our whole team like here to like talk about it.
Yeah, I would love to push that and push more people too, because I have like a lot of people in the area that I know could probably hit you guys up and actually use you. I've been so lucky, like where most of my bands are out here or in that area. Like I think Gabe Woodrow is like the furthest away, but he's still
Yeah.
East Coast. So I
mhm.
mean, he still does it. So
Yeah, we loved having him play at our studio. He hit us up and was like, hey, would you want, can we do this day? I'm like, we have a band booked. I'm like, you can jump
yeah.
on the bill. And turns
Hmm.
out the other band we had booked dropped. And so like we're like, cool, even better. Like it's Gabe's show now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I could
It
talk
was
about
such a
him all
great
day. He's
effort. But
cool
yeah,
dude. He's like one of the few people that like Instagram, like or not Instagram, Spotify, when you put a podcast out, you can have comments. He's one of the few people that I'll always see like Gabe 688 or whatever it is. And he'll just, oh, this is great. This is a good episode. Like I just put out one with Matt Batiste today about Spanish love songs. And he right away, there was like a comment. And I was like, yeah, this Gabe. He's one of the only people to ever comment on my stuff. So like I appreciate that. It's out there. He's pumping that up. But awesome. But thank you guys. I'll get us
Thank
out of
you,
here.
Lisa.
Enjoy the rest of
Thank
your
you.
night. I know I kept you a little longer, but
Don't worry about it.
So happy to be
yeah.
here.
We're happy
Yeah.
to do it.
Awesome. This was so fun. Oh my gosh. I never really had like someone that books like on. It's always been music. I mean, you're still musicians, but in a different way. So I'm really
It was
excited
put
to
our
push this
promoter
out.
hats on today.
Well,
Yeah.
I hope you learned something new, and I hope the listeners learned something new.
Oh
And
my gosh. Yeah.
if you ever want to have us back on for a part 2,
We'd
hit us
love
up
it.
anytime. Yeah.
Yeah,
We
and,
can
Yeah.
send a whole 3 other people too, which is cool. You could get the other 3
we'll-
members of Good Vibe.
no way.
Do it. Yeah, no. Anytime anyone wants to come back, I'm like, that's when I take it as like, that to me is like the biggest compliment when you want to come back. And all right, guys, that was my conversation with Nick, Adam, and Josh of Good Vibe Entertainment. Again, such a great conversation and a conversation that really allowed me to learn a lot. I feel like every conversation does, but this one, I'm not really knowledgeable in the side of booking. I have friends that have done it in the past, but to get to sit down with people that have it and do such a important part in shows. And I think artists look to people like Good Vibe Entertainment in order to, with their routing and what they do and set that up, and what better place to have it by artists. So go follow Good Vibe Entertainment. All the links below. Please go follow them and support what they're doing. I think it's a really great thing they're doing over there, and I want to show some support. So appreciate that. As for our show, we will be back next week, same time, every Tuesday, new episodes, new conversations. You never know what we're talking about. So if you don't want to miss that, the easiest way to support our show and any independent podcast out there is to give a follow and subscribe. You will not be bombarded with stuff. I think some people think that. No, all you're doing is getting that so you get the notification that, hey, we have a new episode. So go ahead and do that. You never know who we're going to have on. And I have a lot of great conversations coming up, as well as a positive rating or review. They go such a long way. And maybe you don't think about it, but all you got to do is hit that little star button, 1 to 5. I would hope you wouldn't give us a 1, but like, you know what? I would just love to see some more ratings if possible, because it really helps us know what you like, what you don't like, and if we're doing a good job. So feel free to do that. That would be amazing, incredible. Appreciate you. And we'll see you guys next time. All right. Bye, guys.